Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I promise you I'm not wearing the same clothes over and over. I'm recording the same day, okay? So today you're going to be working on some review over graphing and substitution, both of those strategies to solve your systems of equations. So on the Jamboard activity, there's examples of both, but then you're also going to want to check out the other things that I posted on Classroom, the IXL and the Study Island topics, to help you review as best you can before your quiz tomorrow. Okay, so Thursday, tomorrow is your quiz. Make sure that you are getting all of your questions answered today and not waiting till tomorrow. Okay. I am going to expect you to show work just like I've been showing on the video. So make sure that you are getting the practice in and doing it correctly. If you're not sure, just send me a screenshot of your stuff or a picture of your work on your paper and send it to me and say, hey, is this good? And I'll tell you if it's good or not, or I'll give you suggestions and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple examples that's on the Jamboard, and then you guys will take it over and go ahead and do the rest of them. So on the Jamboard, on question number 1, it tells you the directions. So you're solving each of them based on the strategy that it tells you. So it's either going to tell you to solve it by graphing or by substitution. It says the rest of your work can be on paper because I know sometimes Jamboard's just not as easy to use if you don't have a stylus of some sort. But I do suggest for the graphing ones to use that grid just because you already have a grid there, okay? So use the grid. You can do all of your other work on paper for right now, just so it's a little bit easier. Make sure that you are checking as well, okay? You'll notice that the answers are on every slide, so you're able to kind of look at that to check, but that's not going to be there come quiz time. So you need to make sure that you are checking the way that I'm showing you how to check, okay? So, and like I said, I don't mean checking just like look at the answer and be like, did I get -3? No, make sure that you are checking the X and Y values and substituting those in at the end. So I'm going to show you numbers 2 and 3, so one of each strategy today. So number 2 is talking about solving the system by substitution. This little thing will not be in your way. I don't know why it's in my way right now. And then it says, don't forget to check your final solution. Okay, I remind you every single slide. So we'll go ahead and get started. And we are going to, remember with substitution, I want to solve for either X or Y. So I'm going to look at my original equations and see which one's easier to solve for one of those variables. So when I'm looking at this, I see a 5x, like a negative y, a -5, I see a 3x, and a -6y. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this because this is like a -1y here. So I'm going to work with that top equation to solve that one for y. Okay, so I have, I'm just going to rewrite it, 5x minus 1y equals -5. And if I want to get y by itself, my first step is to get rid of this 5x. Well, this is a positive 5x, so the inverse of that would be subtracting 5x. Subtracting 5x. And I'm left with, don't forget that negative, so that's like a -1y equals, well, these are not like terms here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that x term first because that's kind of the format that we're used to. So we have -5x. And I still have that -5 to bring down as well. Well, y isn't by itself yet because we still have that -1 here, okay? So we need to divide by -1 because that's really saying -1 times y. But then I have to divide this entire side by -1, okay, to keep things balanced. So here, negative divided by negative gives me positive. So that's like +1y, which is what I'm looking for, or just y. Well, now I got to look at, okay, -5x divided by -1. Well, negative divided by negative is a positive. So that's going to give me a +5x. And now again, I'm taking a -5 divided by a -1. Again, giving me a +5. Okay, so now I have this equation and this equation that I'm working with. So in order to substitute, I'm going to use this quantity here and substitute that in for the y in my other equation. So I have, I'm going to switch colors here, go a little bit smaller. So I have this equation I'm going to start out with. So I have 3x minus 6, but I'm not putting y in. Remember, I'm putting this quantity in. So 6 times 5x plus 5 equals 24. Okay, so now that I've replaced that y with that quantity, I have only x values, which is my goal, so I can solve for x now. So First step I'm going to do is to distribute. So I have a negative 6 times a 5x, so that's going to give me negative 30x. Negative 6 times a positive 5, that's going to also give me negative 30. Bring down everything else, so don't forget that 3x over here. We have 24 here. All right, so I'm going to look at the left-hand side. I have some like terms because these both have x's on them. So I'm going to combine those. So 3x minus 30x, that's going to give me what? A negative 27x. Still have that minus 30 equals 24. Next step is to deal with your adding and subtracting. So I have minus 30. So the inverse is to add 30. Add 30. Well, that gives me 54. Equals, I know that cancels, leaving me with negative 27x on this side. And my last step, since these are being multiplied, I need to divide by negative 27. Divide by negative 27. So x should be equal to, well, what does that give me? Positive divided by negative, I know it's going to be negative, and that should be 2. So right now I think x is equal to negative 2. Well, now I need to use that in order to solve for y, because remember, you need an ordered pair. So I'll switch to green. So I'm going to go back to one of my originals, and I'm going to choose this top one. It really doesn't matter which one you use, but I'm going to use this one, okay? So I have 5x. 5x. Oh, sorry. Instead of x, remember, I need to substitute that in. I didn't do that. So instead of writing x, I'm going to be writing times x, which is negative 2, minus y equals negative 5. So I'm going to start solving, and I have a negative 10 here when I multiply, minus y equals negative 5. Next step, I need to deal with adding and subtracting, but I want to leave y there. So I have this minus 10, so I have to add 10. Well, that gives me negative y. Don't forget about that. And then negative 5 plus 10 is going to give me a positive 5, but I'm not done because y is still negative, and I can't leave that as a negative y. It has to be a positive y. So remember, I can put a 1 here, and this is really saying negative 1 times y. So I need to divide by negative 1 on both sides, leaving me with a positive y equals negative 1. So right now I think x is negative 2, and y is a positive 1. Now here comes the time for checking, okay? This is how I expect you to check, because you're not going to have an answer key to just look at come quiz time. So I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff. Give me a second so I have some room. All right, now that I have some room, I'm going to go over here and check. So at this point, I think that x is negative 2. Oh, I think that x is negative 2, and I think that y is negative 1. So I'm going to substitute those back into my originals. Okay, so I have 5x, but remember x is negative 2, or so we think, minus y, which we get as negative 1. Don't forget to put that negative 1 in here, okay? It's still subtracting, but it's also a negative 1. And then equals negative 5. I need to see if this actually works out. So I'm going to say that this is, well, that gives me negative 10. Subtracting a negative is like adding a positive, so that's like plus 1. And does that give me negative 5? So as I'm looking at that, negative 10 plus 1 is not negative 5. So I also realized my mistake. If you didn't notice yet, 5 divided by negative 1 is surely not negative 1. So let me adjust that. And that's why we check, guys, because you don't know until you check. So I'm going to erase that. And we're going to make this a negative 5 instead of what I just had it at. And then we're going to try this one more time. So y being negative 5, I'm going to put that in there. So this is really like subtracting a negative 5, which isn't going to give me this. Okay, so subtracting a negative 5 is like adding 5. Okay, well now does negative 10 plus 5 give me negative 5? Okay, we're good there now. Ooh. Second equation, I have to check both of them. Okay, they have to work for both. So the second one says 3 times x, which again, I got as negative 2, minus 6 times y, which is negative 5, now that I adjusted, equals 24. Okay, now I need to check to make sure that this is going to work out. So this gives me a negative 6 here to multiply. Negative 6 times negative 5 is going to give me a positive, so a plus 30 equals 24. Does negative 6 plus 30 give me a positive 24? Well, it does. So now that I've adjusted and I checked my solution, my final ordered pair is going to be negative 2, negative 5. Okay, make sure to put it as an ordered pair. All right, we're going to move on into the next one. And for this one, it's graphing, okay? So this is a different strategy, but I still need to check at the end. All right, so if I go to graph, I can only graph an equation when it's in this y equals mx plus b format, right? Because I need to know what the y-intercept is, and I need to know what the slope is in order to graph. If it's in this kind of format, I don't know that as well, okay? I can't tell. So I need to adjust these equations to be in that y equals format, okay? That's slope-intercept form, if you remember that. So in order to adjust that first one, I'm just going to rewrite it so I have some room to work. I want to get y by itself, okay? That's my goal. Y needs to be by itself, so I'm not going to touch that yet. I need to deal with adding and subtracting. Well, this is like a positive 2x, so I need to subtract 2x from both sides. This is going to give me negative 3y over here. And these aren't like terms, so I can't combine them, all right? So that's going to give me negative 2x. Notice how I put that x term first because that's how it kind of matches the format here for slope-intercept form. And then I still have that minus 12. Okay, y isn't by itself yet. I need to do one more step. So to get y by itself, this is really saying negative 3 times y. So I need to use the inverse and divide by negative 3. But I have to divide this entire side by negative 3. So when I do that, that is going to give me, well, this is going to give me 1y or just y, which was my goal. And now I'm taking negative 2 divided by negative 3. Well, think about your positives and negatives first. Negative divided by negative is going to give me a positive, okay? But then 2 over 3, if I actually divide that out and do that in the calculator, it's going to give me a repeating decimal, right? Leave it as a fraction because remember, that's your slope and you want that to be that rise over run. Okay, so that's going to be a positive 2 over 3x. And then I need to look at negative 12 divided by negative 3. Well, negative divided by negative is positive. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So there's one equation that I am solving for, or that I am going to graph. And then my second equation is this one here. So I have x plus y equals 9. Again, I need to get y by itself. This one's a little bit easier. So y needs to stay, but this is like a positive x. Okay, it's not a negative. So I can subtract x from both sides. This leaves me with y equals, remember I want to put the x term first, just like it is here. So that's like negative x, and that's a positive 9, so that's plus 9. So here are my two equations to graph. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and graph them. Remember, you always start with the y-intercept. So I'm starting at positive 4 for this first line. Notice I'm doing different colors, so that might help you kind of see both of them. So from the origin, I'm going up 4 on my y-axis, 2, 3, 4. It's my starting point. And then I go to my slope. And my slope is 2/3. And that's my rise over run. Okay, so they're both positive. So my rise is up 2. And then run is still positive, so that's to the right 3. So up 2 to the right 3, it's my next point. And I'm going to do as many points as I possibly can on this graph. So up 2 to the right 3, up 2 to the right 3. Okay, and then I can come back here and do the exact opposite. I can go down 2 to the left 3 and continue on that line. So down 2 to the left 3, down 2 to the left 3, down 2 to the left 3. I'm going to do my best to draw a straight line through those. Don't forget those arrows on the end. Those are important because it goes on forever. Next, I'm going to graph that green line. Again, y-intercept is a positive 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's my starting point. And my slope here, remember, if there's no number, we can put a 1 there. So negative 1, but I need it to be like a rise over run. So I can put that over 1. So my slope here is negative 1 over 1. And I need to think about rise over run. Okay, so my rise from this starting point is going to be down 1 because it's negative. So down 1, but my run is positive. Okay, that's a positive 1. So I'm moving to the right 1. down one to the right one. And I just keep going, down one to the right one. Oh, I can already see where they're hitting, and that's going to be good. All right, down one to the right one. Continue that pattern all the way down. Okay, I'm going to connect those, draw those arrows. Okay, remember, the solution to these equations is where they intersect. Well, they're intersecting at this point right here. Okay, remember, I need an ordered pair. So my ordered pair is going to be remember, it's x and then y. So my x value, if I go along my x-axis, it was over 3. That's a positive 3. And it went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. Now, I have my ordered pair, but I haven't checked it yet. So I have to go back and check it just like I did before. I'm going to erase some of this just so I can check, so give me a second. All right, here we go. So I'm going to check now. Now that I think that 3, 6 is my final solution, I'm going to check that. So again, I go back to my original equations, and it looks like it says, I'm going to go with the first equation first. So 2 times x, which I got to be 3, minus 3 times y, which y I got to be 6, equals negative 12. Now I need to see if this is actually true. All right, this gives me 6 here. Negative 3 times 6 gives me negative 18. Does 6 minus 18 equal a negative 12? Well, yeah, it does. So that one's good. Now I need to check the second one. Remember, it has to be good for both of them. They have to work for both of them. So again, x, I got to be 3, and plus y, so I'm on my next equation, okay? So plus y, which I got to be 6, does that equal 9? Well, yeah, that one works too. So as long as they work out for both of them, I know that these two x and y values are the solution and will work for both lines, all right? So make sure you're practicing both strategies. Your quiz is tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions, okay, guys? Have a good day.